Isn't it a shame how we break each other's hearts, then cause each other pain? How we break each other's hearts without thinking anymore. Forgetting to you back, yeah. Isn't it a pity?
I was reading some of the press for Miles from Our Home, and it was quite mixed. In fact, some reviewers seemed to be quite upset that you seem to have changed your sound, and I was sort of a little puzzled why that would be, because even as long ago as the Trinity session, I think it was Jay Cox from Time magazine commented on the fact that it was a different sound and your next LP was going to be different again. It shows how old I am, LPs. But what do you think? I mean, the fans seem totally unfazed by this change. What do you think is the central core of your music that they latch onto, no matter what sound you produce?
Well, I think that with whatever record we do, there's always the essential junkie sound, and I think that sound is the four of us playing music together. I think we could put out a reggae album and there still would see that junkie sound. Not that we are going to. And I think the fans hear that. You know, I think that the press are always looking for angles, and change to a lot of people means drastic change, or, you know. So I don't really pay too much attention to the press side of it. I pay attention to what the fans are hearing, and you know, and what I'm hearing. And definitely, it's Michael and Al and Pete and I just playing, and that's always at the core. And then we add stuff on top.
I just love the fact that you were originally a garage band that had actually put carpet up on the walls to stop the neighbours complaining. It just struck me how they would probably pay you to take the carpeting off the walls now, I think, wouldn't they?
I don't know. I don't know if our neighbours know who we are. It's a very Portuguese, Italian neighbourhood, and I don't think they have a clue. So.
You actually learned to speak either Portuguese or Italian as a result?
I haven't, but my brother Pete has taken Italian and is trying.
Yeah. We've got an area like that in Vancouver, down on Commercial Drive, where if you don't speak Italian, you're pretty well lost.
Yeah.
No, it thought across my mind, have you ever thought about making a list of the adjectives that have been applied to your voice? Because I did so, and it's pretty daunting. I can read a few to you. You've been described, here's some of the phrases: cool and muscular, chilly as a Canadian winter, sings with authority and toughness, sympathetic and human, that's a nice one. What about this one? A grave murmur with a gothic beauty.
I like that.
Yeah, seductive. The one I most frequently come across is ethereal and haunting. Then there was hushed and husky is another one. Probably my all-time favourite is sultry.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's not bad for a girl who didn't want to sing in the first place, is it?
I'd say that's pretty good. I like it.
As a matter of interest then, since you didn't really want to sing in the first place, what did you actually set out to be in life?
Well,
you were a secretary for a while, I think.
Secretary for a while, and then I went back to school and I studied social work, and that's what I got my BA in, and that's when the band started in my graduate year. And I think if the band hadn't have started, I think I would have stayed in school. Maybe not to continue with social work, but just to stay in school and study. I was an adult student, or later older student, and I liked being a student. It was safe.
Well, now that speaks volumes about you. Actually, clearly you have no regrets, but you make a lot of interesting comments, but amongst the ones you made about the Mars About Home CD was this one. It's about finding the strength within yourself to do what you want, regardless of what other people think. And it struck me, has it sometimes been a struggle for the Cowboy Junkies to do exactly what they want, regardless of what the suits think is a good idea? Or was that more of a personal comment?
I think it was more, well, it was both. I mean, it hasn't been a struggle because we've always been really, as a band, we've always been a very tight unit, and we've always thought as one. And, you know, so when the suits have asked us or told us if you just did this, you'd sell 1 million records, we've always had the strength to do what we wanted to do. So I wouldn't say it was a struggle, we just do it. If we like it, that's what we do. For myself personally, it's more of a struggle, you know, because I tend to run away from any
reluctant
challenge.
star, yes.
Totally.
Yeah. I often wonder how long it's going to take the Suits to realise that you don't mess with something which isn't broken. I've met so many people who said the same thing. If you will only do so and so, you'll be, and they're being quite successful at that.
Yeah.
Maybe one day it will dawn on them.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you took a different approach to the creation of this particular CD, whereas previously you'd always sort of worked on everything all together. This time you went off, you worked on the vocals in your car.
Well, my car is my studio.
Well, you did say you worked in your car.
I do all the
While
time.
you're driving?
Yeah, mostly when I'm driving, but if I'm working on something really difficult and I have to keep rewinding, I do pull over because I might crash and die.
So you're singing as you go, that must create some curious scares and other motives.
Definitely, yeah.
So which approach do you prefer? Actually, I mean, they can see benefits both sides. Which actually works better for you?
For me, I think altogether.
Yeah.
I found this method hard for me because I tend to sort of work off what the boys are doing. I mean, and what vibe they're giving me. It's easier for me to sort of find the meaning of a song or the way I'm going to take this song if I hear what they're playing, and if it's live. If I feel that nobody's paying any attention to me, the boys are playing, where you're working with tapes and then you go in, and I'm working off of tapes in our studio where I'm just working with Mike. There's more of a focus on it, and I'd rather not have the focus. So
sometimes already you've said something which you talked about the boys. Now, two of the boys are brothers, but one isn't. I mean, I would think by now it must be impossible to separate him from family, but how does he feel?
Well, Al's been a friend since we were nursery school, so he's always been like a brother. He's one of those friends we had baths together when the three of us were really little. So yeah, I mean, he's just one of the guys. I don't think he's got any problems. And Al's got that kind of personality where he just goes with the flow, and
As you progress, some things get easier, some things get harder. I read that originally Mike used to drive the tour vehicle.
Yeah.
Well, now you rate a coach, and I guess he doesn't drive it anymore. But now I think either, at least most of you, if not all of you, are married. Does that make touring easier or harder? Because you must have forced stretches away from family and loved ones.
Yeah, it makes it harder. As you get older, if you have any level of success, your home life becomes more comfortable. You gather more things, or you have children, and and you lose the excitement of the road. I mean, in the early days, just being in a band was cool.
Yeah.
Now it's not so cool.
Yeah. I sing with the rock band.
Exactly. It was a part of your identity. Now it's and also going to new cities. Going to San Francisco or those places was so exciting. Where now I've been to them so many times, so it's not as exciting as it once was, and I've seen the museums and I've seen the art, so it's harder to get yourself out of bed.
Well, you're an exception to the rule, because most of the people I talk to, I was talking to Natalie McMaster not too long ago, and she's saying that, I said, you're going to Skokie. Are you going to get a chance to listen to Clash movies? She said, I won't even know I'm in Skokie. We're in, we're out. So you actually have been a little luckier than most.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're huge tourists.
Yeah.
So when we go to a place and it's new, we'll do the scenes and go to the museums and really and it's funny because it's not just the four of us that are tourists. Our bandmates, Jeff Bird and who's been with us forever, and our crew are really into it as well. So there's always somebody going off somewhere to do something.
Talk about people going off. So let's take it the opposite angle. When you all came together, you wrote a lot of this album at Michael's cottage in Warkworth, didn't you?
Yeah.
You commented on what a wonderful experience it was getting you all back together again. Have you now, as a result of that, scheduled regular retreats together so that you can actually, or is it something which is like the Trinity session you can only capture once? That's the wonderful experience.
Yeah, well, as a family, we get together all the time, at my mom's, and that's a whole different thing. It has nothing to do with music. As a band, it's harder for us to all get together and rehearse like we used to in the old days, without other things getting involved, like kids, having to be picked up or go to the dentist or whatever. So when we went to Warkworth, to Maiden's Mill, and just held up there as a foursome, It's like it was 12 years ago when we were all living together. It's great. And when we were working on Lay It Down, we rented an island just for 2 weeks, and it was fantastic. You know, it was just. We were just playing music and cooking and playing Scrabble and
well, because the nice thing is nowadays you can even take the recording machines and these PATs and do the recording right there.
Exactly.
Cavalcade said they recorded their last album up in the mountains of Andalusia,
Yeah.
so you know,
Yeah.
so that becomes a possibility.
Yeah.
But for a city girl, you've developed some pretty bucolic hobbies. You've got canoeing and hiking. I noticed bird watching.
I know.
Are you a serious ornithologist or is it a part-time hobby?
Totally.
Really?
It's brand new. Michael is really, really serious. I mean, he bought these fantastic binoculars that bring the bird right here. You know, at first, Mike got into it at first, and you know, and then you start getting the books, and then it just becomes so exciting. I never thought it would be so exciting to see a bird.
Yeah.
And all my life there's been birds around me, and now I can point out, oh, that's a this and that's a this. But
Well, there's your solution to traveling and being touristy. You've now got a whole bunch of birds that you've never seen before you can go looking for.
Yeah,
so another reason to go back to San Francisco and the other places.
That's true, that's true. But, it's great, I love it.
For reasons that I do understand, I've not seen, apart from the events of the time, much spoken of about the ill-fated Sharon album that you guys put together. And it struck me that you guys are such great songsmiths, they couldn't have been altogether bad. Have you, in light of additional experience, ever thought of revisiting that material to see if anything could be reworked and salvaged, or maybe it has been, and I just don't know?
It wasn't bad. Actually, it was quite good, and still is. The reason we didn't release Sharon was because it was recorded in the same way as the Trinity session, and it was too similar to the Trinity session. And for the follow-up of the Trinity session, we felt if we did something too similar, people would compare it. And we didn't want the Trinity session to have anything that could be compared to it. And the record company was all ready to put it out, but we decided, no, let's redo it. And I think someday it will be re-released. You know, I mean, not re-released, it will be.
But, you know, yeah, possibly polished or whatever it is.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, I think it's really quite fine as it is. A lot of the songs that are on Sharon are the ones that are on Caution Horses, so that's a little bit of a problem, but, I mean, they're totally different.
You used to tell an anecdote attached to a song called "Because Cheap Is How I Feel" from Pale Sun, Crescent Moon, about a dirty hotel tub. I never did hear that, and it sounds like it was fascinating.
I tell so many stories off the stage, I can't remember which one that was, and I have come across many hotel dirty tubs.
Well, let that go, one of that. You've got some Lilith Fair dates coming up, I think.
Yeah.
23rd of August, I think, and then the 25th, my birthday, you're playing in Utah.
Yeah.
As a woman, what do you think about this Lilith Fair phenomenon?
As a woman, I don't really think about it too much.
That's a comforting response.
I mean, as a musician, it's a festival, and it's a successful festival, and so we're looking forward to doing it. You know, this whole politics surrounding it and the exclusivity of women and all this sort of stuff, you know, everybody relax. I mean, I think in order to today, to get attention, to get people to buy tickets, you have to have an edge or a gimmick, and it's like Lollapalooza or something. This is a woman's festival, big deal.
I'm looking forward to the day when it doesn't matter the sex of the artist, they're just appreciated for what they do.
Yeah,
and do well.
Yeah.
When do you finally get back home again? The chance to relax?
The first 2 weeks of October we're taking off, and then we'll start up again. So the first 2 weeks.
Yeah. Your present tour, I think, has been mainly the western side. You're planning to tour over on the northeast, I think, after this, are you not?
Yeah.
Any significant Canadian dates that our viewers should watch out for where you're next going to be appearing?
Well,
say maybe in a couple of weeks from now?
I think the Lilith is probably the best ones we're going to be on as far as Calgary and Edmonton.
Yeah.
We're going to do Winnipeg and Saskatoon and all that, and Montreal. I don't know what the dates are though.
So, last question then. We started off by talking about the evolution of the group and your new sound. Where would you personally like to see the band go next, musically speaking? I don't mean geographically speaking.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I personally, I think I'd like the next one to be really, really quiet. Really, really quiet. Really soft. Really just strip it down again. Yeah, that's where my heart rests. That's where I get the most joy out of singing, is the real quiet, spacious stuff. So, yeah.
Well, it's been a delight meeting you and talking with you. I hope maybe we'll get the chance to do it again sometime. In the meantime, thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
It's a real pleasure.
Thank you.
Isn't it a pity? Isn't it a shame how we break each other's hearts, then cause each other pain? How we break each other's hearts without thinking anymore. Forgetting to give back. Yeah. Isn't it a pity? Some things take so long, but